This My Thoughts Monday is brought to you by Kinetic Performance, the makers of the Rolls-Royce of barbell monitoring technology, the GymAware. Guys, in season training, we rock the GymAware all the time for quite a few reasons. The first, of course, is just that, the ding. Every time the athlete hears that, they know that they're hitting exactly what we need from them at that moment. And when they don't hear it, it brings out that extra little bit of competitiveness within themselves. On top of that, that awesome ding ends out bringing together the athletes as well, pushing each other and getting each other to be able to hit numbers that they probably wouldn't hit at that portion of the year. And finally, of course, that ding helps us monitor, manipulate, and keep track of volumes and intensities so we can best dose our athletes during the season at the right time with the right amount. Guys, hop over to kinetic.com.au and check out what Evan and the team down there have, because this is absolutely a sensational product that's changed the way that we've trained our athletes. This edition of My Thoughts Monday is brought to you by Valid Performance, the team behind the Nordboard, Force Decks, the Groin Bar, and Human Track. Guys, the most important ability for all of our athletes is availability, and that's the absolute goal of Valid Performance, is to provide solutions to performance professionals so that we can get the right information to make the right decision at the right time for the betterment of the athletes that we get to work with. To do this, guys, they have a wide range of validated products that focus on usability, and having being founded by the School of Exercise and Nutrition Sciences at the Queensland University of Technology, they're extremely evidence-based and they're beyond transparent. I can tell you that our time using the Nordboard and being involved with Force Decks, we have been introduced to so many amazing people that have truly helped us become better coaches, have a better understanding, not just of the technology, but also what we're doing with our athletes. So make sure you hop over to valperformance.com today to make sure you check out what they got. It's going to make you better and to do better by your athletes. Hey everybody, if you enjoy the podcast and the content that it provides, make sure you hop over and check out the all-new Strength Coach Network. The Strength Coach Network is the combination of the CVA SPS community and the Rugby Strength Coach community, bringing you what is sure to be the internet's leading resource for continuing education for strength and conditioning professionals. Combining these two resources has allowed us to bring some of the best content from some of the best minds in the world together for your one-stop shop to better improve the continuing education for not just yourself, but your entire staff. Bringing together all of the lectures from the Rugby Strength Coach community, along with the lectures exclusively done for the Central Virginia Sport Performance community, and all the lectures performed at the Central Virginia Sport Performance Seminar, make this an absolute must for performance coaches around the world. The world-class lectures at the Strength Coach Network are not all that you'll see as well. The discussion in the forums and the support and the career guidance from some of the top practitioners in the world, from people all over the world, makes this an absolute must and a great place for you to network, learn, and grow as a performance professional. So hop on over to strengthcoachnetwork.com and use the code CVASPS, that's CVASPS, to get your 48-hour trial for only $1. We're sure you're going to find great value in the Strength Coach Network and are really excited to have you involved. So hop on over to strengthcoachnetwork.com and use the code CVASPS to check it out today. Hey, what's happening, everybody? DeMayo coming at you with this week's edition of My Thoughts Monday. And today, kind of want to piggyback both episodes that we had last week with the My Thoughts Monday talking about going back to some things that we have done in the past when it comes to our training. And that interview with Gary on Tuesday where he really broke down some things that he looked at when it came to the training that he used with his athletes, and how now he's looking at it more through a lens of, are we training them for what the athletes need, or are we training them with what we as strength and conditioning coaches are trying to kind of force feed them, if we may, because it's what's important to us. And I'm getting more and more into this and diving more and more down this rabbit hole, a lot due to the latest book that Fergus Connolly put out, and going through that and kind of making me reevaluate a lot of the things that we're doing. And not just reevaluate it because I think that what we're doing is wrong, but reevaluate it because I want to make sure that what we're doing is right for each one of the kids that we get the opportunity to work with here. And before we go any further, I know that there's people that are going to say, well, yeah, you work with a basketball team. You don't have that many guys. And I'm like, yeah, okay, that's fine. But you can also take a step back and bucket athletes as well and look at things like that. So when we're looking at these things and understanding, like what are we doing for the athletes, and is it just important to us as strength and conditioning coaches, or is it just something that we've done forever and that's what we do because that's what we are? We're strength coaches and we do this. Um, let's go back and start looking at some things. Like um, how we're going to now look at our programming and evaluate what is important for each kid, and then get into, after we talk about what's important for each kid, how are we going to make sure that we're moving in the right direction, right? I think that the first and most important thing with that is to sit down and talk with each of those kids. Now, I can hear what you're saying right now, and you're like, well, Jay, you only work with 15 guys in a basketball team. How am I supposed to talk with 100 football players? Well, I can tell you straight up that I just watched that happen. Our director did that with all of our football players. So to sit here and say you can't do that, I'm sorry, you're just making an excuse. You can do that. Like, stop the bullshit. Like, we can do those things. Um, the next thing that I would say is, sitting down and talking with your coaching staff. And then if there's anything that's really inconsistent, bringing the two together and talking with each, to figure out what's going to be best. Because, you know, really at the end of the day, figuring out what's best for each of those individual kids, and having different input on that is going to be really, really important. Really almost essential, because what the coaches are going to be looking at is going to be more, hopefully, team-based performance type things. What the student athlete is going to be looking at is going to hopefully be more individually based things, or where they see they can help the team better and what they can do to help the team better. Um, and I don't think that these are things that need to be very um, in depth or very, how do you say this? Like, I don't think that each one of these meetings is going to get you something that's going to be like excessively like dialed in and pointed to one specific thing. Like, I can't imagine sitting down in a coaches meeting and being like, our player X needs to run a mile in time Y, or this player needs to get a beep test of that to be successful, or our point guard needs to run a 3/4 court sprint from X to Y. Like, he's running this speed now, he needs to run that speed. I don't think it's going to be that. I think it's going to be something where, like, it's going to be like, I think if this guy could get a little faster, or this guy can get off the ground quicker, or this guy can be a little more elastic and bouncy, or this guy can get in better shape, or this guy can, lose some body fat, or this guy can gain some weight, or this guy can get stronger. I think it's going to be things like that. And then coming up with how you are going to evaluate that, I think, is the next most important thing. So after you have these meetings set and these discussions set, and you've talked about these things, next is to figure out how you're going to evaluate those instances. So what are you going to do to show the athlete that they're getting stronger, that they're producing more force, that they're jumping higher, that they're running faster? Like, what evaluations, what tests, and what metrics are you going to look at to make sure that they're moving in the right direction? Because the thing that I think that is most important with that is, once you now have incorporated the athlete's insight into the training, you have to show them that you're giving them what they're asking for. So what I mean by that is not necessarily like, oh, look, we did this for you. It's, we're providing what you need to become a better player, because you're going to then help increase their confidence in not just what you're doing, but the work that they've done. Like, all of these things that we do, like, they're great, but like, if you have a kid, like, say, a point guard who's small and quick, like, you can train them all summer and get them all jacked and tan all you want. But if now they sit here and they go through these workouts, and then their squat numbers go through the roof, and their bench goes through the roof, and they can do 1,000,000,000 pull-ups, and they could only do like 5 or something crazy, maybe they don't care about that. Like, maybe that's not something that really is going to, in their mind, help them play better. Maybe the coaching staff is going to look at that and be like, well, yeah, that's great, but that's not helping them play better. And I also think that there's going to be times where we may need to take a step back and look at some of these kids and be like, listen, you need to spend less time in the weight room, and you need to spend more time on something else. Like, maybe it's going to be more time getting in better aerobic shape, building, different fitness qualities, if you may. Maybe it's going to be just flat out running sprints and getting fast. Maybe it's going to be spending more time on the court for some of these kids or in the pool for some of the other kids that I work with and really working on your technique. You know, for a swimmer, how you push off the wall. For a swimmer, how you get in the blocks and how you come off the blocks, or, how your catch is working in the water. Things like that. Because, Gary said it really well. Some of the best athletes that he had in the weight room spent too much time in the weight room. And I couldn't agree more with some of that. Like, we've all heard the saying, where you play like, you lift like Tarzan but play like Jane. Like, it's kind of borderline socially unacceptable as that statement is right now. Being the weight room hero doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be the stud in the game. So understanding where these kids are and what they need to work on to become better is really the key function of what we're trying to do with this off season. So yeah, we are going to take a step back and we are going to look at the minutia. We're going to look at the minor details of the programming. Are there going to be some things that everyone is going to do? Yeah, but I think that that's going to be more along the lines of monitoring type things. I think that that's something where no matter what we're doing or how we're handling these kids or what we're trying to build quality-wise or skill-wise with them, understanding when to push the gas, when to pump the brakes, and when to let it kind of run in neutral for a second is what's most important. Understanding that we need to push these kids some days, whether we planned on it being the day that we push them or not, and some days we need to pull back on them a little bit, whether it was going to be a day like that or not, really is what's most vital to continually progressing them and making sure that they stay healthy. And that's something that we need to bring back and do more of. I personally need to bring that back and do way more of that than I have in the past 12 months. And we're starting to with some kids, and we're going to need to with a lot more. Especially when we're able to sit here and individualize training and start talking about nutritional strategies to help them reach their goals, and then look at what we want to do with extra work in other facets to continue their development. So I guess what these those 2 talks in the book, have kind of led me to is taking a bigger step back and really ripping apart our programming even more, which is going to be fun because being able to take that step back and learn what's been good, bad, or indifferent and what people's opinions of what's been good, bad, or indifferent is really a driving factor for all of us to move forward in the coaching profession. So I guess that I'll leave it with this as kind of a challenge to all of us, and that is to take that step back and have better conversations about what you're doing and be more open to these athletes being able to tell you what has been good, bad, or indifferent and what you can do to put them in a better mental state based on the physical work that they are doing. Because really, the crazy thing at the end of the day, right, is look good, feel good, play good. So if they trust what they're doing and they feel like they're getting better and things are falling into place and you increase their confidence, they're going to play better. So that's where we're going. Hopefully that helps. And as always, guys, thank you for everything you do for us here at Central Virginia Sport Performance. We'll be back next week with another My Thoughts Monday. We'll see you then.